let me get into why I never spoke on her. I never spoke on Remy because I felt like it wasn't even nothing to be spoken about. Me and you not beefing. I'm not beefing with you over a dude. He not going back and forth with both of us. He chose me and left that situation. So now we done posted the video of us hitting we fucking working out together. We got the media workout together. He made a freestyle about me, and then
facts. You guys aren't putting out any facts. You guys are lying. You're lying on her name 24/7.
Okay.
24/7.
Give the facts.
I need you to really hear this because I said weeks ago this situation was going to escalate, and now we are standing right in it. Claressa Shields told the public she wasn't beefing with Remy, said she wasn't bothered, said nothing was happening. While she was saying that, the subliminals kept rolling, the image mirroring stayed constant, and the fixation kept getting stronger. Now she didn't hint, she didn't shade, and she didn't sneak anything. She went straight at Remy directly. This stopped being simple internet back and forth a while ago, and calling it drama doesn't really fit anymore. What we're seeing looks like an emotional spiral happening out in the open, and people are still trying to downplay it like it's just content. If you're new here, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when I upload. If you're here right now, you're already locked in. So let's actually break this down properly. Because over the past week, Claressa hasn't just been exposed for online arguments. What's come out is way more unsettling than that. She's allegedly been calling into YouTube live shows pretending to be a supporter, defending herself, backing her own arguments, and debating on her own behalf. Not openly and not honestly, but anonymously, like nobody would recognize the patterns, the tone, or the timing. That's not regular behavior for someone who's confident in their position. Now let's pause and talk psychology for a moment because this really doesn't add up. Claressa Shields is a decorated champion with Olympic gold medals and multiple undisputed titles across weight classes. Whether you respect her or not, her boxing legacy is already sealed. There's nothing left for her to prove in the ring. So explain why she's fighting in comment sections, competing with a wife, and putting herself in situations that only make her look unstable. That's not strength. That's not confidence. That's someone winning everywhere except the place that matters most to her. From a psychological perspective, not a diagnosis, but an observation, this looks like identity pressure mixed with comparison fixation. When someone ties their self-worth to a relationship they don't control, they don't compete with strangers. They fixate on the woman who represents what they can't replace. And in this situation, that woman is Remy. And this isn't happening because Remy is engaging, because she isn't. And it's not because Remy is responding, because again, she's not. This is happening because Remy is the wife. When you're dating a married man, the wife becomes a mirror you can't stop looking at. Not to admire yourself, but to constantly check if you're winning or losing. As long as Remy is still legally his wife, as long as he's slipping off into stores, laughing and recording moments with her like we all saw around the holidays, as long as his arm still carries Remy's name and face, and as long as Remy and Pap share what people keep calling the golden child, the imbalance stays real. She has no child with him, no title, no history, and that gap never closes in her mind. She will always feel one step behind. That pressure explains the rush. The urgency to lock in a child with a man who is still married isn't random. This fixation was never really about another woman. It's about proving legitimacy in a role that was never secure from the start. Once you understand that, the behavior starts to make sense.
Hey, I just want to know, why are y'all putting so much energy into Claressa and Pat relationship and not the same energy into when Remy was cheating on Pat?
Well, you go ahead and put the energy into it if it's something on your mind. Go ahead, you got the floor. Go ahead, tell us about it.
Like, y'all don't hear all
Well, you tell us because that ain't a topic of conversation.
Was cheating on Pat Cruz?
Tell us.
Nobody talked about this like this. Like, I'm confused. When Pat had to knock the nigga out because the bitch was cheating, why nobody had this much energy? Like, where was this energy? I'm confused.
Okay, well then you tell us. You obviously know more about it than me.
Remy.
Oh, you just calling here to be. Well, go ahead. You wanna cuss? Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. So she don't like Remy Ma. Why are you telling me you don't like Remy Ma? Why are you calling Remy Ma a stupid B word? You know what I'm saying?
But what came next only made things more uncomfortable. It was obvious to a lot of people watching that live stream that this was another moment where Claressa allegedly called in again, pretending to be someone who wanted to drag Remy. The tone, the talking points, the obsession, it all followed the same pattern people have already clocked. There's one argument she keeps circling back to, and she even brought it up during her interview on P's Breakfast Club. And that leads to the real question. Why is all this anger aimed at Remy? Why call the wife names? Why pour rage onto the woman whose husband you're involved with? From a psychological standpoint, that's not random. When identity pressure and comparison fixation are in play, the anger almost never goes toward the man. It goes toward the woman who represents legitimacy. Remy isn't the other woman. She's the wife. She's the history. She's the family. And that makes her the symbol Claressa keeps competing against. This isn't a diagnosis, just observed behavior. We've seen repeated attempts to mirror Remy's style, her image, her placement. We've seen the need to publicly claim closeness with lines like, he upstairs, he got a key, we getting married, we having a baby. And what stands out is that all of that talk comes from one side. We have never heard that same confirmation from him. We've also seen repetition in the performances. That holiday display wasn't even new. It closely resembled what she did the year before with a former fiancé. The expensive gifts, the public show of devotion, the need to make it look official. Same playbook, different season. All of this strange behavior raises a real question that people keep avoiding. Is this really about Remy, or is it about Claressa trying to prove her value after her previous relationship with Dude didn't work out? This is where things start getting risky. When someone frames a relationship like a competition and becomes fixated, it doesn't just stop at one person. That energy spreads to everything connected to him, including his family ties and the child he shares with his wife. And that's where the issue gets serious. There's a long marriage here, a shared past, real history, and a young child who represents that bond. Remy and Pap have nearly 2 decades together, years of building a blended family, and stability that didn't happen overnight. When someone views themselves as being in a battle they didn't start and can't realistically win on paper, the behavior doesn't calm down, it escalates. That's why the anonymous call-ins matter. That's why the name calling matters. And that's why this can't be brushed off as internet noise.
I was there every step of the way. Y'all was there when I was riding up there. To the prison. Y'all seen me fighting court officers getting thrown out of the courtroom. It was in the newspapers.
Well, I know for myself, I just wanted y'all to fix it. Because I've known y'all so long. And
we move forward with our lives.
I wish her, like I said, I wish her the best.
For sure.
We got some great, amazing things going on. And like I said, this is my best friend right here, man. We living our life.
We've been together over 1.5 years now. It'll be 2 years next year in September. We at the end of the year. Some of this stuff is just so old. You know, it's so old to talk about, to bring up, to keep harping on it. It's like they're separated. She got somebody too. Like, don't act like you're just over here. Like, she's happy.
This is a situation people should actually be paying attention to instead of laughing off. Then there's the audacity behind the constant clarification. Claressa keeps insisting she's not fighting over another woman's husband, while her actions stay completely centered on that same woman. You don't have to say the word beef for the behavior to speak for itself. The fixation does all the talking without any extra effort. What makes it even more uncomfortable is how she keeps trying to validate the relationship by saying, he chose me. Chose you for what exactly? A situation, a setup, a man who never formally left a marriage that's still legally intact. A connection where he still appears deeply tied to his wife. That's not selection, that's overlap. And speaking clinically, not as a diagnosis, but as a pattern people recognize, the he chose me narrative is often used to stabilize relationships that don't have clear boundaries or structure. When there's no title, no closure, and no clean break, repeating that phrase becomes a way to quiet insecurity rather than proof of anything solid. That's really just a way to quiet insecurity when real commitment hasn't been shown at all. And let's be honest, there's another layer people keep tiptoeing around. When one person brings fame, money, and public visibility, and the other brings access, proximity, and availability, the intentions don't always line up. It's fair to question whether he's there for love or for the lifestyle, the clout, and the financial perks, especially when his legal and emotional ties to his wife are still very much intact.
Next thing, what's the plan for 2026? Like,
I'm having a baby.
oh, okay, that's for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I'm having a baby.
Do you prefer like a girl, a boy? I mean, just I know obviously healthy baby, but do you have any like?
Pat want a boy, so I want a boy.
Oh, okay, okay.
You know what I'm saying? I don't mind either one.
Is he gonna box? Is he gonna box your son?
My son probably gonna rap and box.
Oh, he gonna do both.
Little dude gonna have a hand problem for sure, like his daddy.
No, that's awesome.
But no, I think I've already decided at the age of 30 I wanted to start my family. You know, so I'll be 31. It's a year late, but it's fine. I just want to get my 2 or 3 fights out the way, and then I want to start my family, and then after that I can get back in shape and fight some more, and probably come back lower. You know what I'm saying? But who knows?
And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. When a relationship has to be constantly explained, defended, and performed for the public, it usually means something is missing when the cameras are off. When a relationship needs constant explaining, it's usually because the foundation isn't solid. Real commitment doesn't require daily press releases, coded captions, or repeated claims of being chosen. It shows up quietly through actions, consistency, and clear boundaries. When those things are missing, insecurity creeps in, and people start performing the relationship instead of living it. That performance becomes louder when outside validation is needed to replace what isn't happening privately.
Maybe next year. We already have it planned out. I'm gonna have a baby next year, and then probably have another one, and then do the same thing again. Like, I don't want to wait till I'm 40, 43, whatever, after my career to have my kids. Right. I want to be able to run at the park with my kids and stuff like that. I don't want to be too old. Last time I'm supposed to be our wife and stuff. You see this big old ring on my finger? Bling ding ding ding. Engaged. I'm getting tired of people asking me, when your wedding? When your wedding? When you gonna have kids? Like, shut up.
There's also a power imbalance that people pretend not to see. When one person brings fame, money, and public recognition, and the other brings access and availability, the motivations can clash. That doesn't automatically mean bad intent, but it does invite reasonable questions. Especially when legal and emotional ties to a spouse still exist, it's fair to wonder whether the connection is built on love or on convenience. Lifestyle can blur lines fast when structure is missing. Another issue is how competition gets created where it doesn't need to exist. When someone starts framing a relationship as something to win, every other connection becomes a threat. That mindset doesn't stay focused on one person. It spreads to family ties, shared history, and symbols of permanence that already existed long before the new relationship showed up. That's when things stop being personal and start becoming unstable. What makes it more concerning is when frustration keeps getting redirected. Instead of holding the person who made the commitments accountable, the anger gets aimed at the one who represents legitimacy. That's easier emotionally, but it avoids the real issue. The wife represents history, structure, and continuity, and that makes her the focal point even when she's not engaging. That kind of fixation isn't fueled by interaction, it's fueled by comparison. At the end of the day, no amount of public claiming can replace clarity. Overlapping relationships don't magically turn into secure ones just because someone says the right words often enough. Stability comes from clean endings, honest choices, and visible follow-through. When those pieces are missing, insecurity fills the gap and behavior starts spiraling outward. That's why people should stop dismissing this as internet noise and start recognizing it as a pattern that only gets louder when it's ignored. When you step back and really look at the full picture, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. This isn't about isolated moments or misunderstandings. It's about repeated behavior that keeps circling the same source. Public explanations, defensive statements, anonymous call-ins, and constant comparisons don't come from security. They come from uncertainty. And the louder the performance gets, the more it exposes what's missing behind the scenes. Like, the truth is, secure relationships don't need spectators. They don't need constant reminders that they're real. They don't require one person to keep asserting their place while the other stays silent. When a relationship is solid, there's balance in how it's represented. Both people stand in it publicly or they don't. When that balance is off, the tension shows up in strange ways, especially online. Another piece people overlook is how unresolved situations contaminate everything around them. When there's no clean break, no real accountability, and no clear direction, emotions don't settle. They scatter. And when someone feels like they're competing for legitimacy, every symbol of permanence becomes triggering. The marriage, the history, the shared child, none of that disappears just because someone wishes it would. Ignoring that reality doesn't make it go away. It just pushes the pressure somewhere else. What's also worth paying attention to is who keeps doing the explaining. When one side keeps speaking and the other side stays quiet, that silence becomes loud. It forces the person talking to fill in gaps that may not actually be theirs to fill. That's where narratives start forming that aren't backed by action. And once those narratives get challenged, frustration follows. This is why people need to stop framing this as petty online mess. Patterns like this don't de-escalate on their own. They either get acknowledged and addressed, or they intensify. Dismissing them as entertainment only encourages more extreme behavior because attention becomes the reward. And when attention replaces accountability, things tend to spiral. None of this is about picking sides or attacking anyone. It's about recognizing when behavior crosses from reaction into fixation. It's about understanding that legitimacy can't be forced, and roles can't be claimed without mutual agreement. Stability doesn't come from repetition. It comes from clarity. And clarity has been missing from this situation from the start. At the end of the day, people show you where they stand by what they do consistently, not by what they say under pressure. When words don't match actions, confusion fills the gap. And confusion is where insecurity thrives. Until there's honesty, closure, and clear boundaries, this cycle isn't going to stop repeating itself.